Amy Holloway, Ian's childhood friend and one of the heroines. She has a family ability, neutral attribute magic, distinguishing heart, as a passive. Thanks to this, Amy can distinguish the colors of other people's minds. You will be able to infer whether your opponent is lying, what your character is, and what kind of plot your opponent is plotting. It is the first contribution that allowed the Holloway family to survive in an aristocratic society where all kinds of power and trickery were rampant, and to rise to the ranks of the Count. Count Holloway cherished and raised her daughter. Because of that, Amy grew up to be a girl with a flower garden in her hair. Then she actually went to the flower garden and met the second son of the author of Fairy Tale, the main character, Ian Fairytale. In her eyes, Ian was a kind-hearted boy. The two quickly became close, and after hard work, they entered the Marchant Academy as a classmate. Yes, in the beginning of the story, Amy's weight was very high. Macken's Magical Night Act 2, Scene 2, the kidnapping of a childhood friend. At this point, Mateo's gang had good timing. This one is for that little chicken owl. On the day of the kidnapping plan, Amy gets upset with Ian. Then Mateo's men approached her and persuaded them to follow them. Amy discovered that they were trying to kidnap her, but nevertheless, I followed them. They didn't have any obscene desires, and I also wanted Ian to value them more. In the end, the man he likes will become a prince on a white horse and save him, and you'll love yourself more than usual. It was just stupid. Rather, he was able to see through the opponent's mentality, so he fell for the lure of the Mateo gang. As a result, Amy is treated unexpectedly harshly until Ian rescues her. It's like being slapped on the cheek or kicked. It's because Ian fights well, because Mateo's men are embarrassed, and at the same time, because Amy resists. It was not what she wanted that Ian was in danger, because of her momentary impulses and foolish thoughts. This scene didn't feel so good. So, after the kidnapping case of a childhood friend is over, Amy weeps and apologizes to Ian. After that, she becomes a devoted heroine and no longer trolls. Anyway, in such a psychologically finite state, it would be easy to kidnap, as long as I am there. It is unacceptable for Amy to be treated harshly. Where was Amy? I remembered the story behind Act 2. Chapter 2. Amy told Ian where he was going before the Mateo gang flirted with him. Where was that? Oh, right. Hydrangea Garden. There is a beautiful garden with colorful hydrangeas. Amy will be there on the bench. I was prepared to roam around for a long time, but luckily I was able to easily spot Amy, who was sitting on the bench and swearing. Let's start with the bangs first, because now I'm alone. I brushed my semi-curly bangs and walked over to Amy. Suddenly, several emotions crossed my mind. While playing Magic Night of Marchant, I rode the Amy Jungsil route quite a bit. It was because she always liked to see her bright smile that seemed to be in full bloom, so familiar and memorable. One of the characters I wanted to cherish was Amy. As I stopped in front of Amy, she looked at me with pretty green eyes. It was a woman with short white hair, with a ribbon in the shape of a black rabbit ear. Puppy figure. The eyes are large, and the overall appearance is cute. This is the first time we have officially met. As expected, she had a question mark on her face. Amy Holloway.
LV51.
Race. Human. Attribute. Fire. Risk. X. Amy Holloway. Amy will be able to see through my intentions with distinguished deep colors. There was nothing to hide, so let's be as respectful as possible. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to kidnap you. Could you please cooperate? Is it again? Amy was startled by the words of the man who appeared in front of her. I didn't know what to say, so I just stared at him blankly for a while. Silver hair with a slight blue tint. The red eyes looking at Amy are as clear as blood. I knew who he was. His name is Isaac. He was judged to be E-class in horsepower, and was ranked last in the class assignment evaluation. A man at the bottom of the ranks, even from commoners. He was a man who could not be known because he was famous for the bad. But Amy didn't look down on him. On the contrary. I couldn't understand why the students of this academy were so anxious because they couldn't belittle others. Is it because Ian, a childhood friend whom he has a crush on, has also become a joke among students because his magical amount is E-class? The situation upset Amy, but there was nothing she could do for her, except for being on Ian's side. Well, unlike the other students, Amy felt sympathy for Isaac. But what did such a man say? Did I hear it wrong? Kidnap? Kidnap. Isaac responds clearly, as if he was giving a confirmation kill. Amy was able to see the color of Isaac's heart thanks to the distinguished deep color magic that was always active. A light blue color with a hint of orange. It was a color without any impure intentions. Therefore, what he called abduction did not seem to be a real abduction. It's natural. Who would do a kidnapping like this? Wouldn't it be true kidnapping by using force from the beginning to catch him, or to seduce him, after deceiving him to some extent? This is my first time mixing words. Why do you love me? The orange color of the heart symbolized affinity, affection, and affection towards Amy. A color seen mainly in family members and close friends. A color that means liking when you see it for the first time. It was a color that could change to pink at any time to signify love between the opposite sexes. But this was the first time Amy had seen Isaac. That means, have you been possessed by me without knowing it? Passing the road. It was clear that Isaac had a crush on him for his pure beauty. I was ashamed. She pursed her lips, covered her cheeks, and turned her head to the side. This sinful woman, oh my gosh. Isaac had no particular feelings for him, but thanks to him, his self-esteem had risen. At the same time, Amy was offended by Ian. It's because you're neglecting yourself these days. Even the color of my heart has faded. These days, I even feel a deep sense of skepticism about the reality that Ian's heart, which he has been working hard on, cannot capture her heart. This one is for that little chicken owl. Of course, rationally, I understood that it was because Ian was focused only on training. Still, you've neglected it too much. Training. Is it me? I wanted to ask like that, but his pride could not tolerate that. In the first place, he and Ian are not even in a romantic relationship. Revealing this desire for monopoly is a shortcut to creating a rift between them. Yes, Ian and himself are fucking childhood friends. It's his friend. It's his friend? Stupid Ian, are you really jealous? Fip. Amy wanted revenge on Ian. Fufu. Kidnapping. It's fun. Isaac, right? Amy smiled brightly as she spoke in a snoring voice. Do you want to talk to me? What? Isn't it? I wish there were delicious refreshments and black tea if possible. Am I pretty picky in taste? I don't know about black tea, but there are handmade chocolates made with special A-grade milk imported directly from Aelo Farm and cocoa from Dork. Amy's eyes began to glow with curiosity. She jumped up without realizing it, and then popped her head out to Isaac. Isaac is startled and reflexively pulls his upper body back, regardless of his reaction. Amy asked excitedly, "Hey, what kind of chocolate is that?" First listen, tasty. His voice trembled with excitement. It was Amy who is delighted with sweet things, to the extent that I can be confident that I have eaten all the sweets in this world. So, the homemade chocolate Isaac mentioned was enough to pique her curiosity. There is one, so eat it. Isaac took a small piece of chocolate the size of a finger from his pocket and handed it to Amy. Chocolate was wrapped in paper. Amy exclaimed when she saw the pretty packaging design. His expression melted as he put the brown chocolate inside. What do you think? It's so sweet. After swallowing chocolate, Amy was immersed in the afterglow for a while. Soon, she came to her senses, coughed awkwardly and nodded her head. Yes. Good. This is good. Do you have more chocolate? I'll give you more if you follow me. Okay. Amy captured her expression and gave Isaac a lively smile. I'll get you kidnapped? Where are you going? Wow. You were there too. I brought Amy to a small house somewhere in Josina Forest. It was originally an abandoned house, but it had been cleaned under the pretext of kidnapping. One of Mateo's men knew how to handle the wind attribute, so it was easy to shake off the dust. In Magic Night of Marchen, there is content to create and decorate your own hideout. This lung was also one of the places that could be used as a shelter. I escorted Amy to the table with refreshments. Sit here. I'll bring you some tea. Amy's mind was focused on the chocolates already lying on the table. After sitting her on a chair, I headed to the kitchen, even though the kitchen was just a small space with a single partition. There, I put a kettle of water on top of the spellbook engraved with 1-star fire magic. Fire generation, magic circle. And started boiling it. But this situation, something like this, it's too easy. I thought it would be, but I didn't know that I could seduce Amy so easily. And that's just one piece of chocolate. This one is for that little chicken owl. Oh! Of course, the chocolate I used was an effective item limited to Amy. The chocolate I had prepared in advance was bought by Mateo as a kidnapper. You can get it from the secret shop, and it's pretty cheap. The chocolate was originally one of the gift items to increase the affinity of the heroine. The effect is most pronounced in Amy Holloway, who likes sweets. It is a must-buy item if you want to see the ending of Amy Jung-sil, so I was sure Amy would like it. This one is for that little chicken owl. Of course, the one that worked the most was her distinguishing heart skill. What are you doing? Amy. Bah! I leaned my head over the curtain and looked at Amy. She reached out towards the chocolate and held it in her other hand, controlling herself. Isn't that too much? No matter how many years we've been together, he says. I need to train. And ignores me every day. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going nonstop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Me and Amy had a simple tea party with chocolate and black tea. Apparently, I had a lot to say to Amy because I had been playing the game even though I had never played it. When you start a conversation, a story comes to mind and you can see that words just popped out. Thanks to that, the atmosphere was not always awkward. Amy kept complaining to me, seemingly relieved by the chocolate and tea. Of course, it was about Ian. I was so good to you. You ungrateful bastard. Do you like Ian? Uh-huh. I spit out something I already knew. Amy has laid out enough clues to be able to give it a thought like this. As expected. Amy blushes and panics. Me. No, not really. Is that right? Just by looking at it, you like Ian, right? Not really. Not really. It was cute how he tried to deny it. In the position of Ian, I have been playing Magic Night of Marchen for a long time. You don't know how many times I've seen you. This love, should I say it feels like a daughter. I've never been married. No chocolate. Oh, yes, chocolate. Chocolate? I ate all of it. Sorry. I deliberately changed the subject. Amy responded to the topic by saying, "You're cool, too." But she seemed to feel guilty. Are you going to eat more chocolate? I'm not the type to eat that much. Well, if you give me more, it would be difficult to decline even if I saw your sincerity, right? What kind of bullshit? Wait a minute. I'll bring it to you soon. Yes. Where are you going? I got up and headed towards the door. I left it somewhere else. I made something like a simple refrigerator and kept it there, because I am the ice attribute. But it's a bit far away. Why? Isn't it just a matter of installing a simple refrigerator here or in front of it? I'm still immature with the controls. It could be avoiding this house for nothing, so I left it far away on purpose. It wasn't a completely convincing expression, but Amy didn't ask any more questions. Can I use the ice magic scroll? I tried to answer that there is no gel when the same point was made. When I asked, why is there no gel? Me? I tried to answer that I was robbed. Who was robbed? When the same question was asked, I tried to answer that I did not know because it was answered in the dark. Well, that's lucky. It seemed that she wanted to eat more chocolate as soon as possible. Oh. Would you like to go with me? I will follow. You are being kidnapped. I am waiting here. Fufu. That's right. That's right. I was supposed to be kidnapped by this evening, didn't I? Amy grinned. He seemed to know it was a joke. Perhaps he was just being treated as a guest, and abduction seemed to be my joke. The country seems to have, because I said the kidnapping is until this evening. It was more comfortable for me to take it as a joke, because I wanted to treat Amy comfortably. I'm happy today. Let's be friends with me when we get back. Isaac, friend. I don't know. Now, Ian, whom you like, is going to be robbed by Mateo and the demon. I laughed and said, I'll go, and left the hideout. Suddenly, the sky was tinged with sunset. This one is for that little chicken owl. On the way with Amy, I had placed a sharp-edged stone on a marked spot in front of a tree in Josena Forest. It was a sign that meant successfully kidnapped Amy. Afterwards, Ian must have received a letter stating that Amy was kidnapped. They would have broken into the abandoned warehouse and started fighting the Mateo gang. Isn't it still a long way from the demons? The time when demons appear is when the sky is getting dark. It will remain in an awakened state under the abandoned warehouse and will pop out when Mateo's magic is felt. It responds to concentrated mana, so it's still a long way off. There will be plenty of room to observe the situation in front of the abandoned warehouse. I just have to kill the demons and prevent the bad ending. In addition, if you defeat the demons this time, you can get a loot called Deep Sea Ring, an item that can read the minds of others. In Magic Knight of Marchen, it was used to read the opponent's number during battle. In other words, Deep Sea Rings could be of great help in coping with all kinds of variables in the future. The kidnapping was not a problem, and there was no particular variable that came to mind. I headed towards the abandoned warehouse with leisurely steps. If it's a variable, it must be the case where demons appear early. An example would be the case in which Mateo used his mana before his subordinates. Then it would be a dangerous situation that hastened the bad ending. But I don't think that would happen. When playing Magic Knight of Marchen, Mateo unconditionally attacked Ian only after all his subordinates were defeated. Well, this is going to be easy, even with a girl like Kaya who is far and wide. There is no point of contact this time, so there will be no one to interfere with. 2 hours ago, Kaya Astrium was wandering around the academy grounds. Isaac, where have you been? Why is Isaac not visible? At best, they found the Mateo gang, but they were walking around except for Isaac. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Moreover, the behavior of the Mateo gang today was somewhat suspicious. Recently, thanks to following Isaac, Kaya had discovered that they were using an abandoned warehouse in Josena Forest as a retreat. This time, they went into Josena Forest and went to the abandoned warehouse as usual. Suddenly, he began to look carefully in front of a certain tree. After that, all but one of Mateo's men went to the abandoned warehouse. The other one turned around and went through the forest of Josena to the Faculty of Magic building, Orphan Hall. Kaya followed him. The man looked around, secretly inserted a letter into Ian's locker, and fled at a leisurely pace. What is that? Maybe it's not a love letter. After Kaya confirmed that the man had left, she took out the letter stuck in the gap in Ian's locker and read it. He's with Amy Holloway. Come to the abandoned warehouse in Josena Forest. Come alone. Hostage. Kaya shook her hands. You've gone so far? The Mateo gang is notorious. It must have been the purpose of harassing the nobleman named Ian Fairytale. Even so, I can't even take a hostage. At that moment, Ian had just come to the locker. Confused, he spoke to Kaya, who was standing in front of his locker. That's my locker. Ian Fairytale, right? Look at this. Ian's expression darkened as he read the letter Kaya had handed him. Amy, Mateo, is that child Mr. Ian? Afterwards, Kaya rolled her eyes and made a proposal to Ian, who was full of anger. I'll help you. The time when the sky is dyed with sunset? After searching through the Josena Forest, Ian arrived at an abandoned warehouse. The Mateo gang greeted him with a giggle. Where is Amy? Ian asked in a sad blue voice. In his right hand, he held a wooden training sword, but to Mateo's gang, it seemed plausible. Tell me right now. It is a warning. Warning. Pah. A barrier was formed behind Ian's back and on the side of the door. It was the neutral attribute magic of a student in the Mateo gang. Barrier physical defense specialization, neutral attribute. 2. Although it is a basic level barrier, it specializes in physical defense. No matter how strong Ian was among his peers, he wouldn't be able to break through that barrier easily. Who is talking? To let you know that I've been through a lot. Then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo's voice fell heavily. On an E-class subject, a warning. Warning. No, it's fun to have that kind of spirit. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo's men began to approach Ian, but Ian didn't seem to have any fear at all. Rather, it was a sad expression. It was really a warning. That was then. Suddenly, the walls of the abandoned warehouse break. A fierce wind blew over Mateo's gang. Gust wind attribute 4. Shut up. Woo woo woo. Rock attribute 4. Before the wind magic attacked the abandoned warehouse, a rock wall rose up around Mateo to protect him. It quickly deployed the rock attribute defense magic, rock wall. It was reflexes like a wild animal. However, the remaining students of the Mateo gang, who were not prepared for the wind magic, were all swept away by the squall. They pounded themselves against the opposite wall, swept to the floor and lost consciousness. The storm is fading away. Wind generation, wind attribute 1. A bitter wind began to surround the abandoned warehouse. The wind was under the control of a girl. After disarming rock wall, Mateo's eyes widened as he looked at the source of the wind magic, the wall of an abandoned warehouse that has been pierced by a gust wind. There, a girl with light green ponytails was standing there holding a wand imbued with a small green magic stone. Her hair and skirt were fluttering in the wind. Weapons such as wands increase the power of a magic, but it is difficult to handle at the student level because the operation of magic becomes complicated. There are only a handful of first-year students who can handle weapons. A girl with that skill appeared. Are my warnings a joke? She is a first-year junior in the Faculty of Magic, with an overwhelming power than anyone else here. It was Kaya Estrana. Why are you... To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo frowned. I never imagined that the second seat, Kaya, would break in. I don't know how it was in English, but it was clear that he and Ian were holding hands. In other words, she is the enemy. Although he would fight against it, the outcome of the match seemed too obvious in front of Kaya's strong magical power. Mateo, where is Amy? Before long, Ian was approaching Mateo, but Mateo only glanced at him, but did not attack, because Kaya is guarding herself. If you move quickly, Kaya's wind that dominates the abandoned warehouse will attack you fiercely. A cold sweat ran down Mateo's cheek. Answer me. Chuck? Ian pointed his wooden sword at Mateo and said threateningly, a man whom he considers insignificant. A nobleman he dislikes will point a wooden sword at him. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo was furious and his eyes rolled back. You dare not command me? Drew. The moment Mateo tries to wield rock magic at Ian, a wall of ice protruded from the ground and blocked the two of them. Ice wall ice attribute 4. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo thought it was an attack and, startled, quickly retreated back. He turned his head toward the caster of ice magic. The one that Kaya was pointing towards Mateo had a light blue magic circle. It was Ice Wall's right answer. Ice Wall turns into blue powder and scatters. Even Kaya's wind threatens Mateo. As long as she was there, Mateo could not do anything, even giving one shot to Ian Fairytale right in front of me. Crisis situation. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo swallowed his saliva. That moment, in the middle of the abandoned warehouse, a strange and sinister energy of mana came over. Kaya, Mario, and Ian's eyes reflexively turned to that direction. Survival instinct to sound the first alarm. In the middle of the abandoned warehouse, black mana slowly rises and is concentrated in one place. Sha'a. The black mana uttered strange cries and turned into a strange two-headed creature. Brim tall, which is likely to be large, grayish-brown skin. The appearance of the eyes protruding from the side of the cheekbones was like a hammerhead shark. The body, wearing a black robe, had an extremely short upper body and abnormally long legs and limp. Both arms were in the shape of shark fins. It was long enough to reach his toes. The two heads were horse. Shahu. The faces of the students who caught sight of that abominable creature became contemplative. Hey, what is that? They immediately guessed the identity of the strange creature. Demon. That was being considered a natural disaster. The demons. Shah. Get diet. Suddenly, two-headed shark demons roared towards Ian and Mateo. A blue magic circle appeared at the feet of the demons. A dark ring of water reminiscent of the deep sea rose. The ring of water instantly became a wave and flew into the students with great power. Wave development water property. Plus black water property. 5. Black wave water attribute. We are in. Kaya quickly deployed an ice wall towards herself and Mateo's subordinates, who were stunned. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo tried to block the powerful waves by making a rock wall. Those defensive magics were smashed in vain in one hit, Black Wave. This one is for that little chicken owl. On the other hand, Ian, who did not know how to use defensive magic, could only wield light attribute mana on the sword he had brought in advance. Ouch! Ice Wall succeeded in protecting the target to be protected until the last moment. The rock wall was destroyed in vain and did not perform its function properly. Ian's sword too could not drive out the black wave of the demons. Ian and Mateo felt a shock as if something had exploded inside their bodies and were swept away by the waves together. Black waves smashed the walls of the abandoned warehouse with a wild force and threw them into the forest. The two of them rolled on the floor and bumped into a tree. The clear black water sinks. The two men drooped like drowning mice. It's okay. Kaya hurriedly shouted at Ian and Mateo, but there was no time to worry about them, so she had to turn to the demons again. To get out of this dire situation, we have to defeat that dangerous being.
Shaw.
Ma.
Goddamn. This one is for that little chicken owl. Once more, a ring of black water floated around the demons. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo spewed water and blood from his mouth. I want to avoid that attack, but my body won't listen. Even Rockwall would be meaningless in front of that powerful magic. It was a futile end. At first, a plan to threaten the nobles by kidnapping Amy Holloway and defeating Ian comes to mind. The small throb in my chest that I had felt at the meeting with the gang deepened. In the midst of a rush of skepticism, Mateo bowed his head. What are you doing? A man's voice came from before. Mateo shook his head. A man with black hair was standing in front of him, holding a wooden sword and glaring at the demons. Ian Fairy Tale, if you don't want to be protected by me, get up quickly. It's hard to even protect my body. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo couldn't understand Ian's words. Wouldn't it be natural to use yourself as a shield to torment him or to run away? Nobility is such a being, but I'd rather protect you. Himself who was also an enemy. It was difficult to accept the idea that the second son of the author of Fairy Tale would come up with such an option. In the first place, he doesn't even have the strength to protect himself. However, Mateo looked at Ian's back and felt his chest tighten. In fact, he knew enough that not all nobles were ignoring commoners. I was just ignoring it. After witnessing their parent, commoners and housekeepers, being harassed in a nobleman's house, they couldn't contain their anger. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo stretched out his arms forward, releasing rock mana. A wall of solid rock was formed in front of Ian. Rock wall rock attribute 4. You. Startled, Ian turned his head back and looked at Mateo. There was no time for conversation. Then a second black wave struck them. Whew! In order to protect herself and Mateo's men, Kaya made an ice wall again and tried to counter it with a gust. It was impossible to even break the momentum of Blackwave with her magic. A torrent that comes like a tsunami, but the speed was as fast as a cannon. Ouch. Damn. The ice wall protecting Kaya and the rock wall protecting Ian and Mateo were smashed once more. The shockwave blows Kaya's body backwards. Even though it was water, it felt like a huge hammer hitting him. The tree on which Mateo was leaning was smashed, and he and Ian were once more swept away by the waves and tossed around the forest for a while. Ian eventually lost consciousness. He was the last to use his evil to get up and protect Mateo. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo looked down at the floor with eyes wide open and groaning. The whole body was damp. I didn't have the strength to raise my head. All he could see was mud. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Meanwhile, Kaya trembled and got up from the floor, a ring of black water that rises without mercy. The third black wave was about to come. The demons didn't even give them a chance to fight back. Soon, black waves flew toward Kaya, Ian, and Mateo, who were stunned again. Kaya felt death in that momentary moment. At that time, the air subsided, as if to freeze everything. A cold and overwhelming basic elemental magic enveloped the battlefield. Kaya's eyes widened. Ice Generation Ice Attribute 1. Karalalalak. In the blink of an eye, the flying black wave froze. That magic had lost its momentum, and it was shaped like a sculpture. Startled, Kaya looked around. Amidst the chill, a sight as if time had stopped appeared in my vision. Move away, Kaya. A voice as cold as frost, heavier than a glacier. The joy of survival came over Kaya. She quickly turned to the man behind her. Blue-silver hair, blood-red eyes, a man wearing a first-year school uniform at Marchant Academy's Faculty of Magic. Kaya exclaimed his name with relief. Isaac. In case you have any questions, you can refer to umtel.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. No. What is this? What's going on? Orph of Sleeping. LV 1 in 10. Race. Demon. Attributes. Dark. Water. Risk. High. As soon as I arrived at the abandoned warehouse, I couldn't help but feel cold. A view of an abandoned warehouse that was horribly shattered. The demons were already protruding inside. The sun has not yet gone down in the sky. It's too fast. Why is Kaya here? Banaya. I don't know how Kaya got here, but Orphe of Chimzum felt her powerful magic and seemed to appear earlier than expected. According to the truth, when Ian and Mateo were fighting, I should have felt Mateo's magic and came out. Wow, this must have been really fucked up. I almost missed the time. If I had had a little more time, Ian would have already lost, and the world would have met a bad ending. If it was according to the original plan, he would wear a magic camouflage suit, kill the demons, and run away. However, he sensed that the situation was unusual, and ran without even having time to wear a magic camouflage suit. Anyway, the bad ending has passed. Fortunately, Ian and Mateo are lying together in the middle of the mud. The fact that the two are close together means that the situation itself has been created in which Ian is trying to protect Mateo. Although things went wrong, somehow things turned out the way I wanted them to. Now it's time to fix it. There's only one thing left, situation. In case you have any questions, you can refer to umtl.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Name, Isaac. Alvin. 30. Gender, male. Grade, 1. Title, freshman. Horsepower, 35990 of 36,000. Magical recovery speed, Ayang. Stamina A, Strength A+, Intellect C. Spirit S. From the moment he embraced the will to fight Orf, the Destroyer attribute was activated and his level and stats rose sharply. It was also possible to freeze its Black Wave with Ice Generation alone. In terms of level and elemental compatibility, mine is superior. You will be able to defeat him easily. The ice was immediately removed. The frozen Black Wave became dark blue powder and flew in the air. Sha. Pet. Pet. This one is for that little chicken owl, Orpheus, who was sleeping, looked at me with a questioning face. For some reason, I could feel the gaze from the direction Ian and Mateo were. I glanced at them, and Mateo was looking at me in disbelief. It seems he hasn't fainted yet. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Hiwehwe. Mateo's mouth is heavy, so it's up to you to keep your mouth shut. Can you handle healing magic? Yes. Yes. I knew that Kaya could use healing magic, but I deliberately asked her to confirm. Because if you made me question how I knew that fact, I might get a headache for nothing. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Hiwehwe. Mateo's men looked unharmed, so they chin on Ian and Mateo. Go over there, and if I defeat the demons, heal them right away. Alright. Kaya put wind magic on her body and flew towards them. In case you have any questions, you can refer to umtl.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Next, I approached Orf. In case you have any questions, you can refer to umtl.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Now, magic with a fairly large range will come and go. I had to make sure the other guys didn't get swept away. I gently swung my index finger wrapped in magic. Then Kaya, Ian, Mateo, and Mateo's men were covered with a translucent ice curtain. Kaya's voice was heard. He seemed to have stopped on the way to Ian and Mateo. This has a much higher concentration of mana than a simple ice curtain. Ice Shield Ice attribute. 6. A shield that protects the caster's ice property from magic, even if I use 9-star magic. As long as I have that freeze shield, I will be fine. Isaac Sema. What are you going to do? Kaya's worried voice was heard. What about how you have to kill the demons? Sha. Better. As Orphe roared, a large blue magic circle appeared beneath me. It was a trajectory of pure blue light, like the color of the sea. Already young Gorium pattern. But this one is for that little chicken owl. Orphe uses Dragon Orium when his HP drops below 50%. If it is less than 30%, apply Blackwater to Dragon Orium to make the final blow. Seeing that he was about to use that special move right away, he looked like he was scared of me. Eventually, the mana of the water started to swirl around me. Its size suddenly enlarged, and it took the form of a huge tornado. It was a blackish colored water whirlwind, a combination of water and darkness. Dragon Orium water attribute. 6 plus Blackwater water attribute. 5. Black Dragon Ascension water attribute. The prison of water is tightened at once. There was no hole to escape. The whirlwind lightly blown away the roof of the abandoned warehouse and continued into the sky. The end was invisible. If I get caught up in this tornado, I will soar into the sky. In the meantime, the intense water pressure will suffocate you, feeling the pain that your whole body is torn without even having a chance to breathe. This is what happens when you fall into Orphe's Dragon Orium pattern. In particular, Black Dragon Ascension is incomparable to its power. A black whirlwind touching the sky. It would be difficult to freeze the mana of the powerful water that rotates quickly despite having such a huge area, just with simple ice generation. However, I have a skill that is stronger than ice generation, so it will be fine. He reached out his hand lightly and let out a lot of magic. The mana that scatters the dark blue light spreads out at once. Black Ice Ice attribute. 5. Kara-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. The water whirlpool froze in an instant. A huge pillar of ice soaring into the sky. I immediately released the ice mana that froze in Black Dragon Ascension. The pillars of black ice that soared like the Tower of Babel were broken and turned into a large amount of dark blue powder and went backwards into the sky. Black Dragon Ascension disappeared without a trace. A look of embarrassment was evident on Orphe's face, which he could only see now. I approached Orphe and held out my right hand with my palm outstretched. As the cold mana flowed and condensed, a light blue magic circle appeared in front of his right hand. Sha. Woo. Ma. This one is for that little chicken owl. Orphe couldn't escape. When I wrote black ice, it was because the ground on the side where Orphe was on was also frozen. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going nonstop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. My legs are so frozen that I can't move. Let's finish it. I burst the cold mana I had condensed. At the same time, there was a flood of ice explosion, ice attribute. 5. An explosive burst of ice swept over Orphe, pierced through the abandoned warehouse, and wildly traversed Josena's forest. Its size was getting bigger and bigger, and it became the shape of a huge ice mass. A cold wind blew violently. The abandoned warehouse was frozen solid, and a hazy chill flowed out of my side. This one is for that little chicken owl. On the other hand, the other students could not be affected by magic thanks to the freeze shield. Soon, the ice ingots shattered at once, forming blue-colored powder and scattered all over the place. Sha, Su. This one is for that little chicken owl. Orphe was bruised and bled purple. It fell apart as it was, and disappeared as gray powder. Took! A small ring fell on the floor in the place where Orphe had disappeared. At first glance, I wouldn't have noticed it, but I was aware of the treatment reward and was already conscious of it, so I was able to notice it without any problem. It was a deep sea ring. Congratulations. Defeated the demon Orphe of Sleep level 110, and gained experience. Samam. Will increase to 36 by stats increased by 12. Achievement, childhood friend is safe, has been achieved. You get an additional 10 bonus stats. I sat down with one knee bent and picked up the deep sea ring, thin and rusty ultramarine blue earrings. There were very small inscriptions of strange characters such as runes. You have acquired the loot, deep sea ring. Deep sea ring. When wearing, you can see the other person's psychological state. When worn for 7 days, this item loses its function. And even if it is not worn, it is possible to detect the psychological state of the other person. Rank, Tier 1. Deep sea rings are earrings that can be hung on the pinna of the oracle. If you wear this and look at the opponent, you can see the psychological state of that person through the status window. This one is for that little chicken owl. Originally, Ian should take this item, but it would be much more useful for me to take it than the stun expert. If there is a need to write this in the first place, it is enough if I come forward and solve it, at least for the sake of the story. Unless it's absolutely necessary for Ian or there's room for spare, I'm not going to concede the loot. I turned my eyes to Ian and Mateo as I removed all the ice that surrounded the abandoned warehouse. By removing the ice, Kaya was looking at me in wonder as she used healing magic on them. For sure treatment. You need to visit a priest who specializes in healing magic, or take him to a hospital, because Kaya's magic is nothing more than first aid. However, Ian boasts a monster-like resilience because of his light nature. Even Kaya's magic would be enough to cure it. In case you have any questions, you can refer to uwemtel.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Now that things have calmed down, let's try some deep sea rings for a second. An ultramarine blue earring and deep sea ring was put on the right pinna. The sensation of cold metal. The deep sea rings have been reduced to fit the size of my pinna. Passive skill, Psychological Insight 7 has been acquired. Acquire a passive skill that is conditionally activated by wearing a deep sea ring. If you wear earrings for 7 days, the condition of wearing earrings will disappear. I covered my pierced ear with my right hand so that Kayana Mateo, who was looking at me, wouldn't notice. Then, I looked at Ian, who was fainting first. Ian Fairytale, LV 43. Race, human. Attributes, light, fire, risk, X, psychology. Also, a new psychology column has been created in the status window. Ian was in a state of fainting and seemed to be blank. Mateo Jordana, LV 76. Race, human. Attribute, rock. Risk, X, psychology. I am confused by the fact that you are strong, Ma. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo is staring at me. It's the first time I've seen a human face mixed with astonishment, doubt, and admiration. Among them, doubt seemed to have the most weight. This one is for that little chicken owl. Oh. Mateo has also risen to level 1. It's probably because of the cooperative experience. Kaya Astrian, Elf 91. Race, human. Attributes, wind. Ice, risk. X, psychology. I am in awe of you. What is awe? Kaya looked like an ardent devotee looking at the pseudo-teacher. Well, he also rose to level 1. After all, I think you have become stronger thanks to me. He removed the deep sea ring from his ear and tucked it into his pocket. It will be natural to wear it like an ordinary accessory from tomorrow. After that, I walked towards Kaya, Ian, and Mateo. Mateo was looking at me with a confused face. He was so surprised that his voice didn't come out. Well, I didn't really have anything to say to him. Kaya. Yes, Isaac. When I stopped in front of Kaya and talked to her, I was startled. If you look closely, your eyes are so bright, so burdensome. I guess I'll have to ask Kaya something first. Are you here to help Ian? Yes. Isaac, do you know Amy Holloway? I heard you were kidnapped. I put it in a safe place. Also, Kaya exclaimed an exclamation as if she knew this would happen. Still, her eyes were glaring at the starlight to the point of being burdensome. I will take care of it afterwards. We take these guys to the hospital for sure to treat them and keep their mouths shut. I didn't say anything, but he pointed and said what I wanted. This feeling, somehow, is not bad. The only thing that makes her burdensome now is that her eyes that seem to admire me are so unfamiliar to her. It felt like it was tickling in my chest, and a small smile appeared on my lips. Thank you. When he said such a sincere word, the corners of Kaya's lips reacted violently. Lips started to tremble. Alright. Dying face. It was an expression that she often puts on when she gets compliments from someone she admires. Actually, I'm not a big deal. But you make me look like that? Somehow. I was happy. And keep quiet about the appearance of demons this time. Yes. Why is that? Alright. I was gonna tell you why I made up my own story, but when I said that I would find out at first, I was rather speechless. I don't know what kind of thinking process I went through, but it doesn't matter because I'm doing what I want. It brought back memories of playing Magical Night of Marchin. Soon Mateo's men will wake up. Then they'll support Mateo and drive him to the hospital. It is the end of the situation. I nodded my head to Kaya once, then started moving. The destination was my hideout where Amy was. Throughout the walk, I could feel Kaya's burdensome gaze and Mateo's suspicious gaze. I deliberately didn't give a glance and hurried my steps. The sunset light disappeared and the sky began to darken. The border between sunset and ultramarine blue was very beautiful. I brought more chocolate. 5. You are here. When I arrived at the hideout, Amy jumped up from her seat and approached me like a rabbit. Her eyes begging for chocolate were like a Pomeranian puppy. It's a little later than I thought. But is it cold outside? I feel a bit chilly, don't you? Amy asked with a worried tone. It was probably due to the fact that he blew out cold air while fighting our Orphe of Chimjum. I smiled awkwardly and scratched my cheek. You can't catch a cold. What do you do? At first, Amy reached out a hand to me. A soft flame appeared in front of her outstretched hand. Whoops. Fire generation fire attribute. Typhon. This one is for that lil chicken owl. Oh, it's warm. Thank you. I am thankful. It's really fun today. And the chocolate is delicious. But Isaac, you haven't answered yet. Answer. I told you to be friends. Come to think of it, I didn't answer properly when I asked to be friends when I left. But soon, he's going to hear from Ian. You'll quickly guess why I brought her here. I don't know how he will react then. Anyway, why do I need to avoid it now? Friend. Good. Hi. Amy smiled brightly in the warmth of the flames. It was a sincere smile, like a flower in full bloom. Magical Night of Marchin Act 2, Chapter 2. The kidnapping of a childhood friend is over. I took Amy out of the Josena forest and parted in front of the dormitory. She belonged to the Bricks Hall, where students from lower and middle classes stayed. I decided to go hungry for dinner. It was because she enjoyed tea with Amy, so she wasn't very hungry. Dark night. I went to the corner of the deserted garden to see the potential. Potential power. Retained stats. 22. Growth rate. Training efficiency, C. 26 of 100 up. Magic training efficiency, C+. 33 of 100 up. Learning efficiency, D. 12 of 100 E. Elemental resistance. Fire element resistance, E. 0 of 100 up. Water element resistance, D. 6 of 100 up. Ice element resistance, C. 24 of 100 U. Lightning element resistance, C. 29 of 100 up. Stone element resistance, E. 2 of 100 up. Wind element resistance, D. 18 of 100 up. Neutral property magic resistance, D. 8 of 100 up. Great tribal combat power. Human combat power, E. 4 of 100 up. Erase combat power, E. 1 of 100 up. Elios combat power of 100 up. Anti-demon combat power S. 100 of 100 max. Level has risen by 6. The total stats are 22? 22 or so? The first goal is to acquire Freeze Explosion. In other words, where I will invest has already been decided. I poured all 22 stats into Magic Training Efficiency. Potential Magic Training Efficiency has been improved from C+ to B+. B+ grade. If it is B+, it is the area of giftedness. Even though Isaac's potential and abilities are not very good, the pace of his future growth will be worthy of consideration. After that, after practicing magic, I headed to the fitness room. The students of the Knight's faculty welcomed me as if they had waited, and hell unfolded. The next day, noon, I met Amy on the way. I was nervous about what I would hear for a moment, but unexpectedly, she greeted me with a wide smile. Amy Holloway, psychology. I feel close to you. Dad. He looked very happy. She said yesterday that Ian came to her bed and hugged her tightly and said, I was worried, embarrassed by the sudden hug. I asked him why he was doing this, and Ian replied, I was worried about what was going on because I couldn't see you today. I must have stuttered quite a bit, but Amy must have passed because she felt so good. Besides, he must have liked that the color of Ian's heart was brightened again. Amy took the Jungso route. When you rescue Amy, who was kidnapped from the kidnapping of her childhood friend, you have two options, shoulder pat and hug. Among them, if you select hugging, you will ride the Amy Jungsil route. Congratulations, Amy. Your wedding will be very moving. And seeing that the story of Ian's injury didn't come out, it seems that he was completely cured with just Kaya's healing magic. He must have gone to the dormitory and changed clothes so as not to worry Amy. He didn't even seem to tell Amy about me, let alone his confrontation with Mateo, considering how he didn't react to me in the classroom earlier. Apparently, Kaya and Mateo agreed not to talk about me. That's amazing. Kaya, what is your ear? Did you buy a new one? It suits you well. It wasn't until I had finished talking about Ian that Amy noticed the deep sea ring on my right pinup. I had to wear it for a week, but I was glad to hear that it looks good. After that, I was called by Mateo To be precise, everyone in the gang, including me, was called to let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo's men had no memory after being struck by Kaya's wind magic. It was all because I fainted. When he woke up, he saw that the warehouse had been completely destroyed, and he seemed to have guessed that it was all Kaya's fault. Mateo seems to have said that was true. As soon as they woke up, they said that they went to the hospital, supporting Mateo. It is said that Mateo received professional healing magic at the hospital and was able to move. This one is for that little chicken owl? Of course. It was not completely cured. Mateo had bandages wrapped around his arms and torso. It looked like it was still in pain, but it didn't seem like there was much of a problem in moving his body. An alley behind the academy building. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo bowed his head and apologized to us, who are close friends. Sorry. From now on, I will try to live honestly and compete with my skills. Thank you for being in harmony with my rhythm. From now on, I hope you just stay as my friend. Perhaps they thought they had been succumbed to Kaya, or the subordinates who pat Mateo on the shoulder without saying a word. Although there were ups and downs, somehow it seemed to be structured similarly to the love affair. I was greatly relieved. Mateo Jordana. Psychology. I'm feeling grateful to you. Thank you, child. After Mateo had sent all the other men, I was left alone. We went to the garden and sat under the shade of a tree and started drinking. This one is for that little chicken owl. Of course he bought it, because I don't have a penny. I was watching everything. The way you defeated the demons? What kind of respect? I think you were deliberately pretending to be weak. Just say half, because it's awkward. How dare I? I don't know what Kaya was saying, but Mateo seemed to have succumbed to her ideas. If you don't, I will get angry. Oh, I see. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo reluctantly uses half words. Kaya didn't say anything because it was a habit to use respectful words to everyone equally. It was so awkward for a guy who used to speak nonsense from the beginning to suddenly use respectful words, so it was rather difficult for me to bear. Thank you. Without you, I would have died sooner. Not only me, but the guys I just sent. Let's pay for a meal with this. My life wouldn't be just the price of food. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Mateo burst out laughing as if it was ridiculous. He always had a serious face, so it felt awkward to smile. It seemed that he thought that the calculation of the balance was not right too much. I apologized to Ian. Is that so? I talked to him and he understood. I was going the wrong way, just as aristocrats despised commoners. As a commoner, should treat them harshly. It didn't matter what realization Mateo had attained. After hearing the philosophy and beliefs of Ian, I started to look back on myself. Because it must have been something like that. Since I knew things were going well, my mind was full of plans for the next one. Now is the problem. B. Act 2, Chapter 3, Practice Training Part. Act 2, Chapter 4, Ant Court Part. I had already finished thinking about how to prepare for the ant demon Gargia of the Hermit that will appear in Act 2, Chapter 4. Hermit Gargia appears at level 140, and her minion, the ants, are extremely intelligent and present an extremely carcinogenic factor. There is a reason why the difficulty level of hell, which is still difficult, rises sharply. As soon as it manifests itself, it is by accumulating power in the Tantak underground cave located on the academy grounds, and 2 weeks later, in the form of a power-up to the limit, he comes to take a break in the middle of practice training. After completing Act 2, Chapter 4, you can explore the Tantak underground cave. There, you can find a rare mana scar, Jeffrim. It has been solidified as a magic stone, so it is convenient to carry. Jeffrim is an item that was created because Garcia repeatedly radiated and rebuilt mana in the process of accumulating her power. It is mainly used for accessories or weapon forging, and it makes quite a bit of money. In other words, my plan is to break into the Tantak cave first, defeat the Hermit Garcia, who is accumulating power, and pick up Jeffrim. I wasn't sure if it would go well. In Magic Knight of Marchen, it was not possible to explore the Tantak underground cave in advance. It is an unknown area, but what if it goes well? You can prevent the bad ending in advance, and you can also avoid the beggar. What's the only face? It will just make the gel rich. Just imagining it made me feel good. Feeling confident that you will win the lottery and thinking about what to do if you win. So from now on, I am going to keep an eye on Ian. This bastard hasn't finished talking yet. Class A classroom. Even during class, Kaya Astraini's head was full of Isaac. She had been feeling the thrilling sensation in her chest all day long, because he secretly overheard Isaac and Mateo talking while hiding behind a tree earlier. Isaac Mulberry was even more full. How many achievements did Isaac have in this commotion alone? He joined the Mateo gang and prevented Amy Holloway from putting her in danger, defeated dangerous demons. He even made Mateo go crazy. After all, one of the gemstones that reached the level of an archmage is such an amazing gem. As a prospective wizard, he was someone who could not be admired without admiration. How can you be so amazing? Isaac Nim. Isaac was a very different person from Kaya herself, who only knew how to study or practice magic. The fact that she was of the same generation, the same academy, the same faculty, and the same age made her excited. Yesterday, as Isaac had asked. Kaya properly informed Mateo, Isaac Nim is a person who has reached the level of an archmage, and he pretends to be weak because he has a deeper meaning than the deep sea and broader than the vast sea. At that time, it was right after defeating the demons, so I was very engrossed in Isaac Pong, so I exaggerated the expression a little. When the demons appeared, they told me to shut up and take it to the grave as a secret. Everything has a reason. In fact, Isaac is in a position to protect the students, so he must have a deep and good intention. Anyway, I warned him not to divulge anything about Isaac, and if he did, he would not let him go. To Ian. He pretended that Kaya and Mateo had teamed up to somehow capture the demons, since Amy is safe. They even mediated to keep this case a secret. By the way, is Ian Fairytale's body a human body? It was hard to believe that Kaya had been cured with only her own healing magic. This one is for that little chicken owl? Of course. There are people who have excellent recovery ability depending on their constitution. He could have avoided the attacks of demons as much as he could. Kaya decided not to take it too seriously. But if it's an ordinary person, it's the demons that I thought I'd see once in a lifetime. It's a bit strange that so many of them came out in such a short period of time. Since coming to the academy, I have already witnessed demons twice. If the rumor that demons appeared during the class assignment evaluation is true. In fact, demons have appeared in this academy 3 times. A demon that appears rarely enough to be considered a simple natural disaster. The fact that he appeared in the academy so frequently was very daunting. And when demons appeared, Isaac who killed them, is Isaac's reason for coming to this academy to be related to demons? Couldn't there be some great secret hidden in this Martian academy? Isaac is a genius among geniuses who have reached the state of an archmage, so maybe he knew the secret and infiltrated the academy. Scary idea. That said, doesn't that mean that the academy is in great danger to the point where a giant named Isaac is about to step out? Maybe Kaya swallowed her saliva. The absurd thought engulfed her mind. It's 2,000 gels. Eventually, I got a high-interest loan from Academy Bank. Monthly interest is 5% or 100 gels. It was a killer interest rate, but the loan itself was small, so it wasn't fatal. Loan screening criteria are typically the person's magical power, grades, and credit. My magical power is only E-class, so the upper limit of the loan amount is only 2,000 gels, and I was only able to choose loan products with very high interest rates. Since there was nothing to put up as collateral, isn't it almost illegal private finance? An institution that monopolies the financial sector under the academy is so scary. Still, I personally think it was an inevitable choice to let you know that I've been through a lot. Then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. My pride didn't allow me to get food while I was condescending to Mateo, saying, I saved your life, and if my plan was successful, I would be able to pay off my debts soon, and my fear of being penalized for taking out a loan would disappear. I'm not sure if the plan will succeed, so it feels like a kind of gamble. But anyway, now is the time to eat well and become strong. Situation. In case you have any questions, you can refer to uwmtl.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Name, Isaac, LV, 36. Gender, male. Grade, 1. Title, freshman. Horsepower, 260 of 400. Magical recovery speed, D+. Stamina, C. Strength, C. Intellect, C. Spirit, B. Potential details. Combat ability. Elemental class 1. Elemental fire, C. Elemental efficiency, C. Elemental synergy, C+. Elemental series 2 locked. Owned skills. Active. 1 ice generation, C of 5 black ice, C. 2 ice curtain, C+. 1 cold air dissipation, C+. 1 basic protection magic, D. Passive. 7 psychological insight. Skill tree. Details. Great. Dark evening. In the corner of the deserted garden, the formula for the 4-star magic, Frostfire, was engraved on parchment. Now I definitely chanted, Frostfire can be acquired. It emits powerful cold air in the form of flames. Type, active skill all round. Attribute, ice. Acquisition conditions, ELV35O. Ice generation, C class O. Cold air dissipation, C class O. Ice attribute, elemental firepower, C class O. Ice property, elemental efficiency, C class O. Trigger condition, doesn't exist. To use magic, you have to memorize the shape of the magic circle. With the exception of 1-star basic magic, casting mana in the air doesn't trigger magic. According to the shape of the magic circle using his head, he had to sensibly flow mana. When the unique attribute, Destroyer, was activated, it felt like my body had already mastered the magic circle, so I could use magic naturally. With the body of an ordinary Isaac, he had to follow the norm. Extend your right hand with your palm facing the sky. Now, the ice mana flows in the form of the magic circle. A light blue colored magic circle is created on the palm of your hand. Above that, Frostfire was created, in which the grayish, cold, and soft blue ice mana took the form of a flame. Ice property magic, Frostfire 4, has been acquired. Alright. A softly blazing cold mana flower. I can feel my mana is constantly being deducted. I turned my Frostfire burning hand forward, then grabbed my right arm with my left hand. Pour your magic power like this. Frostfire ice attribute, 4. The hazy coldness and the soft blue mana covered their eyes, blazing like a flame, and spreading forward. The range was very short, but the skill level was D class, so it was unavoidable. Wow, Is it because of the fact that we finally have an attacker-like attacker? A continuous exclamation came out of his mouth. I clenched my fist and removed the frostfire that was burning softly, and closed my eyes tightly. Whole body trembles, I know this feeling. This overwhelming feeling. It was a sense of achievement. Still far away. Next is Ice Wall.
Bam.
Ice Wall ice attribute can be acquired.
Isimna.
Creates a wall of solid ice. Type: active skill defensive. Attribute: ice. Acquisition conditions: Elf 30O, ice generation C class O, cold air dissipation, class CO. Ice attribute: elemental firepower, C class O. Ice property: elemental efficiency, C class O. The feeling of using Ice Wall was engraved on his body. However, until just a few days ago, it was difficult to use Ice Wall. This is because it required considerable mana control to create a solid wall of ice. But now, somehow, it seemed possible. I closed my eyes and radiated ice mana as I imagined a wall forming in front of me. Dude. As I moved my hand a little, I heard a sound as if something thick was popping out of the ground. When I finally opened my eyes, my vision was obscured by a wall of ice. Ice attribute magic, Ice Wall 4 has been acquired.
Nen.
Ice Wall ice attribute,
Furfur.
Ice Wall success. I have a decent defense too. After all, since magic training efficiency becomes B+, it is clearly felt that the growth rate has rapidly increased. The difficult moments of training passed by like a panorama. A sense of accomplishment surged up like a volcanic eruption. He clenched his fists in the air with joy. It was like Manny Pacquiao. In the next 1 week and 4 days, there will be 3 acts, 2 acts, and practical training. The time when the ant demon, the Hermit Garcia, begins to accumulate power is 2 weeks before the practical training. By now, it should be nestled in the Tantak underground cave. The mana scars that his mana will create. Jeffrim must also be made. By the way, there are not many Jeffrims that can be obtained by going to the Tantak underground cave after completing Act 2, Chapter 4. This is because there are many Jeffrims who have lost their function due to overload, due to excessive mana. In other words, if you can go to the Tantak underground cave in advance, there is a high chance that you will get a lot of high quality Jeffrims. In other words, the present time was the best time. Well, tomorrow is the weekend. I was going to go straight to the Tantak underground cave in a wagon after finishing all my lessons today. It will take you 5 hours by carriage to get there, so you will have to stay home overnight after killing Gargia the Hermit. It would be more comfortable for me to leave tomorrow, finish work and return immediately. It would have been more efficient to invest and train stats by saving time even for a day. Are you packed?
Bye.
Class D classroom. After class, all the students had left, so the classroom was empty. I was sitting in the middle seat, writing a list of luggage on parchment and checking them one by one. Food such as water and bread, and portable luminous lamps, camping items such as tents and chairs, blankets, pillows, etc. I also brought a spare just in case. I also brought 2 magic pouches that I bought to keep Jeffrim in. They were all bought by wiping away the gel that I borrowed. Perfect.
Get it.
In case you have any questions, you can refer to uwmtl.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. No problem. Now you just have to leave immediately. The sky was slowly turning red. By the time you reach the Tantak underground cave, it will be dark. I grabbed the bag with the magic pouch, went to the carriage stop, and grabbed a carriage. There were no horses. The ma of the carriage here is not horse, but magic horse. The shape of the vehicle is the same as that of the previously known carriage, but it is the mana operated by the horseman in front of it that pulls the carriage when you apply magic power to the handle. It moves. The exact principle is not known even in the official setting. It's a game setting, so I can't help but think that's it. Where shall we go? The Tantak underground cave. Yes. If we go there from now on, the night must be quite deep, right? There are no lodging facilities nearby. You know that. It's okay. Please go there. I got into the carriage and sat down on a chair. The coachman continued to mutter, are you really okay? And started driving the carriage. The person concerned is okay. But there are a lot of concerns. In a wagon moving with a squeaking sound. In such a case, it would be better to take a nap and get rid of fatigue. I closed my eyes and fell asleep quietly. 20 minutes before Isaac leaves, after finishing Class A, Kea reached the door of Class D's classroom. A hideous conspiracy theory that recently came to her mind. Secrets of the Martian Academy. She pondered for days on how to dig out the problem. If there really is a dangerous secret hidden in the academy. In case you have any questions, you can refer to uwmtel.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat, not only for the students, but for her own well-being. It was no less important. Finally, she came to a conclusion. Let's follow Isaac, the man who is supposed to be the only link. For some reason, it seemed to be the same as before, and it seemed like he was just stalking the person he admired. Kaya justified herself by saying it was unavoidable. The classroom where the students left, Kaya looked inside the classroom with only her head poking out from behind the open door. Isaac sat alone in the middle seat. It looked like he was putting something on parchment. What are you doing? Study. No, I don't think it's studying. Kaya threw question marks over her head. Oh. When Isaac woke up, Kaya was startled and quickly ran away. There was a cleaning toolbox in the hallway. After that, she hid. I just tilted my head slightly to the side of the cleaning toolbox. Isaac was walking out of the D-class classroom and across the hallway. In case you have any questions, you can refer to uwimtel.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Now let's go, hiding your presence like an assassin. Sneaking, Kaya secretly pursued Isaac, shrugging, while hiding in the hideout. Isaac was heading to the carriage stop. Kaya, who was hiding behind the tree and only slightly sticking her head out, tilted her head. Carriage! Isaac got into the wagon and started to go somewhere. The sky is yellow. It is too late to go somewhere in a wagon. Where is Isaac going at this time? It wasn't serious. To follow him or not. After much deliberation, Kaya decided to pursue him. After she went to the carriage stop, she quickly got on the new carriage. Me, guest, you have to tell me where you're going? Please follow that wagon. I won't notice. The coach tilted his head. Is it a problem between students? After all, he is in a position to receive only his wages. He started driving the wagon without saying a word. The sun was slowly setting in the sky. It was late at night. As I got off the carriage, the canyon was reflected in my eyes. Although it was dark, with only the moonlight shining through, it was a majestic sight that was hard to believe that it was about 4 hours away from the academy. Directly in front was the entrance to the Tantak underground cave, inside as dark as pitch black. It looks like an ordinary cave entrance. Upon entering, you will see a downhill path leading to the basement. Student, are you really okay? Asked the coachman in a worried voice. 'Cause it's really good. Still, I can't blame anyone who cares. I nodded with a light smile. It's okay. Please go in carefully. Students are... After receiving my wages, the coachman started driving the carriage back. I've been looking for it for a while. After taking a deep breath, I entered the cave entrance. Oh, it's really dark. He pulled out a luminous lamp from his magic pouch. A handy portable lamp radiated light, illuminating the surrounding landscape. Portable luminescent lamp. A lamp containing a glowstone. Convenient to carry. Rank, Tier 9. Digging and tumbling. Wow. When the ceiling was illuminated with a luminous lamp, the hanging bats began to flap their wings in all directions at once. Wow. I thought my heart was going to fall. I'm weak like this. Hey, I'm scared of dogs. He placed his hand on his chest and held his breath. It must have been dark even in broad daylight anyway. Don't regret coming out this time. It's me. This one is for that little chicken owl. Once dark and scary. It doesn't last long. If you go inside, you will find glowstones that Gargia made with mana to separate the path. Let's wait until then. Well, there's no such thing as ghosts. I slowly moved forward. A downhill road appeared. Gentle slope. Keep going down here and you'll find an underground labyrinth. He had memorized everything about the underground maze. That's about it, because it's the basic knowledge of a deceased person in the Magic Night of Marchand. I started going downhill carefully, paying attention not to fall over. This one is for that little chicken owl. Oh, but really, this one is for that little chicken owl. Oh, scary. The range in which the light-emitting lamp illuminates is limited, beyond the range of light shining. There is still only darkness. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a white, scary ghost face pops out of nowhere. Then you will absolutely faint. Yes, you will faint. Swallowed the saliva. Quietly. Quietly. I moved my feet amid the tension that felt like my heart would burst. It was then Quadada party. A piercing scream and the sound of rocks collapsing echoed from behind. In an instant, my heart sank, holding on to the spirit that almost fainted. He managed to gain reason. It was just a woman's scream. There is no such thing as a ghost. I turned my back and started running uphill towards the entrance to the cave. As we climbed the uphill road, we could see broken stones around the entrance of the cave. And as I stretched the luminous lamp forward, a familiar figure of a girl sitting in the middle came into my sight, dressed in the same Marchand Academy uniform as me, a girl with light green bald hair trembling. She looked at me, then turned her head into the side and quickly captured the crying expression on her face. Kaya Astrian. 91. Race. Human. Attributes. Wind. Ice. Risk. X. Psychology. I am embarrassed for showing you a shameful appearance. Sir. Why is Kaya here? Kaya? Isaac. I mean, that... Anyway, you mean he was the one who just screamed. Did Gargia's minions appear? I quickly ran to Kaya, bent one knee and made eye level with her. What made you so surprised? Even if I met a giant ant? Bat? I was surprised by the bat. I see. Sorry. Kaya apologized in a depressed voice. I don't have to apologize. Anyway, if it's not a dangerous problem, that's fine. Done. But why am I chasing you? Why is Kaya here? Seeing that she appeared at this time, it seemed that she was chasing me. I'm sure it's a surprise reaction. Why? I know how much you admire me. But was Kaya a stalker of someone she admired? I have something to do here too. You've been chasing me. I can't tell you why. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going nonstop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Maybe I'm looking at the face of Kaya. I didn't know right now. It's okay if you don't want to talk about it. I didn't mean to force you to speak right away. Can it happen? As I reached out my hand, who had been hiding her expression all the time, suddenly looked at me blankly. Kaya Astrian. Psychology. I feel that your sad attitude is awkward. Meh. This one is for that little chicken owl? Oh, right. You've always treated Kaya with a cold attitude. To pretend to be strong on purpose. To pretend to be true. First of all, the situation in which I can't reveal my bottom line to Kaya is one thing, because I never know what kind of aftermath will come if I find out that I am actually weak. In order not to raise any doubts, it was necessary to be consistent with the usual attitude that seems to show your true colors. Ha! This one is for that little chicken owl. One sigh. You didn't come to disturb me, did you? Asked in a cynical voice. Then Kaya calmed down her skeptical expression and looked at me with a mixture of longing and fear. Oh, no. No way. Kaya jumped up from her seat. It looked like the army had risen. I ignored her and started walking down the hill again. Kaya followed me. But why are you here? Isaac Sema. There was no need to hide the purpose, so I decided to answer honestly. To kill the demons. Is that so? Kaya answered, as if she knew it would. There are demons here? This is not the place for you to come. Go back? Kaya is dangerous here. Even if the Hermit Garcia wasn't in a perfect state, she'd be at a higher level than Kaya. No, I will help. Kaya came to my side and looked at me with a determined expression. To protect the academy. Kaya Estrian. Psychology. I feel cool that I am trying to keep the academy's peace. What are you imagining? He didn't know what it was, but he seemed to know that he was demonstrating quite a rich imagination. Behind the academy, enter the darkness and defeat the hordes of evil. To protect students? I must have been imagining something like this. Looking back, it didn't seem that bad even with Kaya. In this darkness, beyond the downhill road is an unknown realm. In other words, I cannot cope with all variables. Besides, Kaya is even more talented. Even if all kinds of unexpected variables come in, I have the ability to entrust my back. If the Hermit Garcia attacks, I'll have to protect her. Do whatever you want. Reluctantly, he replied with a feeling of acceptance. Kaya's expression suddenly brightened. She nodded and looked forward again. Kaya took out a wand with green mana stones from her arms and entered the alert posture. Trustworthy. We walked downhill for 20 minutes, relying on the light of a luminescent lamp. Beyond the downhill road, a dark passageway appeared. It was the entrance to the underground maze. Here is underground maze. It's easy to get lost, so follow me. Neat. I quickly hurried my steps, and Kaya followed me. As I entered the underground labyrinth, the light brown glowstones arranged in an orderly manner on the wall were reflected in my eyes. They were made with Gargia's stone attribute magic to make it easier to identify the road. Thanks to this, the surroundings were easily discerned so that no luminous lamps were needed. I covered the luminous lamp with a light veil and tucked it into the magic pouch. I held my breath and walked through the maze. When a fork in the road came, Kaya quickly picked a path before he hesitated. Again, the structure was no different from when I played Magical Knight of Marchen. You can easily reach the center. Isaac. Suddenly, Kaya stopped and called me. I felt it before. How do you know the way so well? Wait a minute. Am I being suspicious now? I glanced at Kaya and opened the status window. Kaya Estriana. Psychology. I wonder if there is a background in which you once decided to fight against the demons. What other scenario is that? As much as she has a lot of imagination, Kaya comes up with strange imaginations every now and then. There was a fear that this would soon lead to a variable that was difficult to deal with. This needs to be answered definitively. What do you say, Will? This one is for that little chicken owl. Oh, let's make it like that. It's just detecting the mana of the demons and finding a way. I have felt his mana from the beginning, ever since I was in the academy. As I said, it really doesn't make sense. Did the academy detect the mana in this subterranean cave? What is the extent to which mana can be sensed? It was a very nonsensical thing to say. But still, Kaya seemed to believe. Wow, it's amazing. I still haven't been able to sense anything. Is this the mana sensing power of the Archmage? Kaya exhales a sincere exclamation from her wide open mouth. I think it's simple too. Slowly you will be able to feel it too. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Me and Kaya started walking again. She glanced at me for a while. This one is for that little chicken owl. Oh! Those dazzling eyes. It is very burdensome because it feels like the stars are pouring down. It was then. Square, 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 square. The sound of something sharp scratching. The sound of tossing and turning stones. And the sound of friction with the antenna. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Me and Kaya stopped walking and all looked ahead. Square, 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 square. Gargia has a minion, aka disaster ants. This one is for that little chicken owl. One of the factors that increases the difficulty of Act 2, Chapter 4. Square, 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 square. Disaster ants have excellent collective intelligence. It is a carcinogen that presses the player with all kinds of strategies and tactics. When I first played Hell Difficulty, I woke up and suffered a bit because of them. If Gargia is hiding here, it is only natural that an army of disaster ants is guarding this maze. There are probably 300 or so herd in this underground cave. Square squares, 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 rectangles. In front of me, a large insect came out through the darkness, shrugging, waving its antenna. A large black ant that repeatedly retracts and unfolds its sharp tongues in front of its mouth. Both eyes were open, revealing a red glow. It was a disaster ant. Disaster ants. LV 70. Race. Demon. Attributes. Dark. Rock. Risk. Moderate. Psychology. I want to kill you. The intruder. What is that? Kaya looked at the giant insect and hated it. Fortunately, only one disaster ant appeared before us. It looked like he was on reconnaissance. It is dangerous when disaster ants flock in groups, no matter how much I am a demon-limited thug. I don't know what kind of strategic tactics they will use to put pressure on me. The demon was recognized as an enemy. Unique trait Destroyer is activated. Levels and stats temporarily increase significantly. The skill tree temporarily becomes plus 10. If so, there is only one way. As I stepped forward, I reached out to Kaya and spilled mana. A thin curtain was placed around her. It was a translucent film of ice with beautiful ice crystals floating around. Ice Shield Ice Attribute 6. Isaac-sama. What are you going to do? Square, 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 square. The disaster ant started running quickly, moving its 6 legs. At the same time, I sat down with one knee bent and placed my right hand on the floor, freezes the entire maze, and poured out ice mana. The blue of the cold winter ice attribute 6. A large amount of cold air flowing out of my hands swept the entire underground maze in an instant, freezing the disaster ants and turning them into ice statues, as if it had been like this from the beginning. In an instant, the entire cave was transformed into a cold ice cave. Ha! A cold breeze blew out of his breath. If only there were an army of ants with outstanding collective intelligence. It's enough to freeze them all before they deploy their strategic tactics. Hey! That's awesome. Kaya's admiring voice could be heard next to her. When Destroyer was activated, my level was 1 in 36. The proficiency of each skill was S-class. It's a point where Kaya can't even dare to help. I removed the freeze barrier that was protecting Kaya. It's amazing. Isaac-sama, let's go. I started walking forward indifferently. At the same time, the unique attribute, Destroyer, was dispelled, and my body suddenly became heavy. It will return to its normal body. The frozen disaster ants were even more threatening when viewed up close. Really, it looks creepy. Kaya followed me. She walked well without slipping, even on the icy floor. The disaster ants you just encountered will be destroyed if you unfreeze them, but the disaster ants that are far away will just remain frozen. In other words, it was impossible to break the ice that had frozen the cave hastily. I heard Kaya's breathing. I immediately turned to her. A look with arms crossed. He pretended to be okay, but he seemed to be getting cold. The chill that fills the underground maze now comes from my magic. The caster was not affected by his magic so much, so I didn't feel much cold. I'll take care. Bye. I guess I was just thinking too much. I pulled out a magic pouch from my bag. When he put his hand into the magic pocket, a coat was caught. I stopped, took it out, and handed it to Kaya. It was a school uniform cardigan. Receive. No, I'm fine. It looks cold just by looking at it. But what are you refusing? I roughly draped the cardigan over Kaya's shoulder, then moved my feet again. Kaya grabbed her cardigan and followed me with her head down. Thank you. Kaya Astrian. Psychology. I feel burdened and grateful that you gave me the coat. Meh. As I walked through the underground maze, I occasionally saw disaster ants that had turned into ice statues. These were the tragic words of the demons who could not afford to prepare for the sudden ice disaster. There were no pitfalls while passing through the maze. Even if there was, it would have frozen so it wouldn't be able to function properly. I was moving on without any trouble. Heartbeat. Small, but clearly audible. Heart beating. Thump, thump, thump. You will soon reach the end of the underground labyrinth. From beyond the end of the maze, a regular beating heart sounded. Kaya narrowed her eyes and showed her vigilance. That reaction alone gave me an idea of what she was going to say. I feel it. This nasty mana? Are there demons in front of me? I didn't feel any unpleasant mana because my mana sensing was so high, but I nodded my head. There was nothing to do and feel mana anyway. Just by listening to this heartbeat, you can guess that there is something terrifying ahead of me. Thump, pound, 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 pound. When we finally got out of the underground maze, a high ceiling and a wide space spread out in front of us, a place that has become an ice cave with my magic. The ants standing in an orderly manner remained frozen. At the end of the road, they lined up like a boulevard. A very gigantic heart was beating at regular intervals. It was a golden heart. The gum-like black outer shell moved with the heartbeat, and the blood vessels that ran from the heart to various places in the cave boasted a harmonious color of gold and black. Thump, 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 thump. What is that? Kaya seemed to be lost in the majestic sight. Demon, I answered briefly. In the great golden heart, the silhouette of a hideous creature was reflected. It was easy to infer its shape just by looking at the silhouette. And the hermit guardia. LV 110. Race. Demon. Attributes. Dark. Rock. Risk. High. Psychology. I want to kill you. The intruder. Bada. Magic Knight of March in Act 2, Chapter 4 of the Hermit Gargia level is 140. You were raising the level like that. Even if the entire cave was frozen with the blue of winter, it looked like it had high elemental resistance. There must be a reason why I used magic from afar. Is Jeffrey here? Gargia's mana remnants were transformed into mana stones, and Jeffrey was located in every corner of the cave. It was frozen because of my magic, but Jeffrey's characteristic pale yellow color was clearly visible. This one is for that little chicken owl. Okay, perfect. In case you have any questions, you can refer to uwmtel.com for references. I dedicate this to Silky Goat. Now, all you need to do is kill Gargia with a quick hit. Droopy. Rumbling. Rumbling. Again, there was no way he could stand still. Around the golden heart where it was hiding, a huge wall of rock rose from the ground, and from the wall, the rock wall had a black pearl color. Rock property. On darkness, Heian rock property. 5. Gumsteel ingot rock attribute. A black rock wall like an iron wall wrapped around the heart and blood vessels. It was a wall that was as strong and flawless as a fortress wall. It's a spear and shield battle. Only respond, Isak. I headed towards Gargia's heart. The demon was recognized as an enemy. Betahan. Unique trait, Destroyer, is activated. Levels and stats temporarily increase significantly. The skill tree temporarily becomes plus 10. Frost Release Ice attribute. 1. In order to increase the magic output, he began to send a cloud of cold air through his body. Cold air leaking out like a haze, just like opening a window to ventilate a stuffy space. I feel like I can increase my ice mana output more easily. The Hermit Gargia. Psychology. I want to get rid of you with Rock Joint. Do. Breaking the ice that froze in the space from the ground. Pillars of rock flew in from both sides. Rock Joint rock attribute. 4. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huihui. Magnificent rock pillars that cover the air with a formidable force. It had the momentum to crush me. Isaac. Kaya's worried cry was heard. It's okay with this. As soon as I heard the sound of Rock Joint being activated, I was gently waving my index finger wrapped around mana, following the movements of my fingers. Thick walls of ice on both sides soared up from the ground to the ceiling in an instant. Ice Wall Ice attribute. 4. Kuwu Wong. Collision of rocks and ice. The rock I made with Rock Joint could not penetrate the ice wall I had created. This one is for that lil chicken owl. On the road narrowed by the ice wall, I strode forward and reached my heart. Thump. Pound. 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 A vast heart floating high. It was truly a magnificent sight. My head hurts when I look in front of my nose, as if Gargia was angry. Her broad heart began to beat more wildly. To let you know that I've been through a lot. Then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huihui. My ear hurts. I stretched out my right hand toward the heart wrapped in the hard steel ingot. Here, you must use the most powerful magic with short-range power. Concentrates mana on the right hand. I engraved the magic of Freeze Explosion and Black Ice in my head. A light blue magic circle was realized in front of the right hand, and a black magic circle appeared behind it and overlapped. Thus, a dark blue Freeze Explosion magic circle was formed, and I burst into extremely compressed mana in my hand. Ice Explosion Ice. 5. Black Ice Ice. 5. Black Ice Explosion Ice attribute. Black ice exploded and attacked the giant heart. There was a dark blue cold air, and the dark ice crystals and my white hair fluttered in the wind pressure. Direct hit. The ice bursting out as if it was going to swallow everything up quickly engulfed my heart. But thump, 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 thump. In the black ice mass. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huihui. My heart was still beating. It did not penetrate the Gumsteel ingot. Drooling. Then, the sound of rocks moving in the ice mass was heard. It was clear that he was restoring the Gumsteel ingot by flowing mana. Freeze Explosion boasts of very strong power at the moment the ice bursts. I also applied Black Ice, which increases the power of magic. So the magic I cast now is my maximum power. In other words, my spear didn't pierce his shield. The level difference is on my side. Though, the heart-shaped Gargia, who was gathering strength, seemed to be far above her level in defense, magic proficiency, and elemental resistance. As if we shouldn't have killed Gargia in advance. I feel the will of something like Providence. What should I do? Shall we wield Black Ice Explosion? No. It is ignorant to do so without measures. No matter how in the Destroyer state, the mana consumption of Freeze Explosion coated with black ice is enormous. It didn't take long for him to restore the Gumsteel ingot as soon as he fell under my magic. Just listening to the length of the sound was enough to understand. In other words, if he continued to restore Gumsteel ingot while shooting Black Ice Explosion, I was at a disadvantage. If I increase the power a little more in the future, my magic will be able to reach him directly. That's the way to deliver the strongest blow possible. The ice, you were there. Kaya. Yes, I turned to Kaya. In Magical Knight of Marchant, there is definitely a joint attack. Elemental Synergy can be effectively demonstrated by performing a joint attack. When Elemental Synergy is activated, The effect that appears when your elemental magic overlaps with other elements increases. Therefore, it means that more powerful magic can be poured on Garcia. Would you like to have some fun too? I remember seeing Kaya's psychology earlier. She seemed to want to be an apostle of justice against the evil that threatens the academy. I asked Kaya like a benevolent question. Pretend to be relaxed? Soon Kaya's face brightened. Kaya Astrine. Psychology. I am happy to think that I can also play an active part. Again? Yes. Kaya quickly flew towards me with a light green wind wrapped around her body. Kaya gently lands next to me on the right. I stretched out my right arm towards the heart that was trapped in the black ice mass. Kaya stretched out her left arm and pointed at the heart with the wand held in her hand. Generate wind attribute. Kaya's wind began to wind around her. The wind that flowed wildly and violently shook the cold that flowed from me and the hair and hem of Kaya and I randomly. The elemental wind attribute is characterized by a linkage that continuously generates wind to increase the power of wind magic in the future. She was creating an affair to increase the power of her attack from now on. Thank you for the opportunity. Isaac. I also wanted to hit that demon with my magic. Is that so? Kaya thinks that if I can easily defeat Gargia. You must have thought that the previous magic was only at the level of his defense. Tell me which of the attack magic you can use now has the highest power. This is Wild Tusk. Great! Wild Tusk is a 5-star wind attribute magic. If it's ice magic that can be combined with that magic, yeah, Frostfire. I engraved the recipes of Frostfire and Black Ice in my head. Then, a dark blue magic circle appeared in front of the right hand that was outstretched toward the heart, right next door. A light green magic circle appeared in front of Kaya's wand that stretched toward her heart and behind her and started to rotate slowly. Remove the ice ingot that covered the heart. The ice ingots flew away as dark blue shiny powder, and the heart wrapped in the hard Gumsteel ingot was revealed again. I'll shoot you when I give you instructions. 4. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. My elemental synergy in the Destroyer state is S-Class. From now on, the joint attack that will be launched with Kaya will be at least twice as powerful as the previously used combination of Freeze Explosion and Black Ice. Frost and Frost. Light blue ice mana and black dark mana are engulfed. It takes the form of a cold, dark blue flame and begins to burn in front of my right hand. Frostfire ice attribute. 4 black ice attribute. 5 so on. Cold fire ice attribute. As it is, it emits cold flames. Now, with my cry, me and Kaya poured out magic all at once. A sharp light green wind engulfs the cold. Dark blue flames of cold. The wind draws a neat trajectory from both sides and shoots diagonally towards the heart. A spreading cold flame storm. As if he would not miss his prey. His heart was wrapped in a bloody tornado. A horde of wolves rushed in, and the strong wind that engulfed the Sylvir Cold War, as if biting it, swept toward the heart in rapid succession. Coldfire Ice attribute plus Wind Tusk wind attribute. 5. Extreme Night Wind Ice plus wind attribute. Cha. Rumbling. Rock debris flying in all directions. In the midst of a hazy chill and a raging gust of wind, the Gumsteel ingot shattered and crumbled down. A slimy, pale yellow liquid poured down like a waterfall. The blood vessels that connected the heart that the Gumsteel ingot were guarding were also cut off by the Ultra Night Sword Wind. The golden heart burned in the cold flames and sank in front of me, and Kaya in vain. Put it in. A bizarre moan sounded right in front of him. To let you know that I've been through a lot, then I've been going non-stop with this practice for nothing, and this belonged to Huehue. Me and Kaya bowed their heads to look at the owner of the moan, an ant-man with huge horns on either side of his head and sharp tongues in front of his mouth. The body was full of sharp claws. The skin was very pale, and the feminine body was in the form of black armor. Even like an ant, it had a large pocket behind its hip. In terms of ants, it was the stomach area. Hermit Gargia, a golden light flashed from the guy lying on the floor and staring at us. It's different from what you see in the game. It's a little smaller than the ones I've seen before. Still, for him seemed easy enough, seeing the green blood dripping all over his body. It seemed that our magic had penetrated the Gumsteel ingot and spawned him without mercy. It was miserable. This is the demon? Kaya frowned. The Hermit Gargia. Psychology. I want to kill you. 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 I want to kill. I want to kill you. I want to kill you. The Hermit Garcia is over 7 naira tall when fully formed, and leads her minions, the Disaster Ants, to attack during the academy practice training to kill many students, including Ian, cause he's like a slaughter machine. I moved closer to Garcia and stretched out my right hand toward him. I'm sorry I couldn't fulfill my ambition. I condensed mana in my right hand. A light blue magic circle is created in front of the right hand. Put it in condensed cold mana burst out in an instant. Ice explosion ice attribute. 5. Freezing rushing towards Gargia. Rushing cold. It was Makta.